Okay, so welcome to another video. It's actually currently Saturday. I haven't filmed anything all week, so I'll quickly show you Tuesday's session, do a recap over that, and then I will update you on what's been going on.
FaceTime on the West Coast, so it's late night. I'ma make time, you make time.
Okay, so Tuesday, squat and bench day. So it's pause squats, sets of 5, and then I had my bench as well. So for my pause squats, for my first set of 5, I did 120. So I actually trialed a lower bar position for this set, simply just because when I was warming up, my shoulders felt a little bit tighter than normal. When I went to go under the bar and then under 70, I couldn't get my grip as narrow as I like to, which usually it does take me a few sets for my shoulders to feel like they're in a good position and they're like loosened up enough to do my narrow grip. But to this day in particular, things just felt a little bit tighter than normal. So I thought I might as well just try a slightly lower bar position and a wider grip for this first set, just see how it felt. It obviously didn't feel incredible because it is a change that I'm not used to, but it didn't feel like I was as tempted to let go and move the position of the bar on my back compared to normal, which is obviously one of the reasons I've brought in these pause squats. So after comp, I might trial a lower bar position and just see how I find it. But for the rest of the sets, I went back to my normal, just wanted to try it just for one set. It didn't seem like for my lightest set it would really make much difference, and obviously it didn't. So I then went on to do my normal grip and had it slightly higher on my back, and it felt a lot lighter, a lot more comfortable. I think the only thing really to report with these squats this week was that something did feel a little bit off, and it was within my bracing. And then I actually realised, I think it was set 4 of 5, that I needed to bring my belt in another notch. So my weight hasn't really changed too much on the scales, and I've been pushing my food as much as I can while still being at like a maintenance kind of level. But my body is definitely recomping while doing that, and my weight has come in. So I've actually gone in 2 notches on my belt since the British, I believe. So I just needed to go in another notch for this session, and it felt a lot better when I did. But other than that, there wasn't really anything to report. I did my 2 ascending sets, so 120 for 5, and then 125 for 5, and then 3 working sets at 130 for 5. Still no higher than an RP7, I would say. This is the last set here. It was definitely the harder of all the sets, but it still moved absolutely fine. The bar positioning on my back felt a lot better than before. So overall, really good squat session. Then went on to my bench, and it is my 2 count pause single day. So I'm trying to take 10 kilo jumps from my last warm up to my top single. So 95 was my last warm up, and in all honesty, it moved like an empty bar again. It felt really, really good. So I went straight up to 105, 2 count pause single, and I finally think I've actually managed to count a 2 count pause single by myself. So that made me really happy. So here is that single. It moved really well. It was a little bit slower, but again, it's a 2 count pause single. It's longer than I'm ever going to get in comp, and that is technically my comp max at the moment. So really happy with how that moved. It didn't feel heavy in my hands, like it moved absolutely fine. Then went on to back offs, 4x6 at 95, which again moved absolutely fine. The main thing with me in these back offs is just remembering that I have to keep my positioning good for every single rep, and I can't get lazy because the weight is heavy enough that if I am lazy for any of my reps, it won't be forgiving. So it was just a case of concentrating through every single rep of every single set, and everything moved fine for those 6s. And then I went on to my last and press, just 3x10, 75. I did rush these a little bit, but they definitely actually moved better than last week's 72.5. So I'm happy with that. Again, it's just additional volume at the moment. I will probably push heavier last and after comp, but for now, I just like it in as it is. It's doing really well. It's doing what I need it to. And it's getting to the point where it's heavy enough that I have to really focus on positioning. So overall, it was a really good session. After bench, I went on to do some split squats and some Spanish squats just for my knees, and then that was it. Okay, so I guess the main update in terms of comp is, so I'm no longer doing a national comp. The English Championships has had its national status revoked by the English Powerlifting Association. Essentially, I think it's to do with too many people complaining about not getting in. That it's not fair to call it a national level comp if you haven't got everyone there, so it's not necessarily a true representation of the competition within the country. So it is now just classed as a regional, so it's been rebranded as the Manchester Open. I'm still going to do it. We have had the option to obviously ask for a refund and just not do that comp, but the people organising it literally host the best comps in the country. It is still going to be the best run comp in the country. The sponsors are still sticking with it and supporting it. It will be a really good comp, so I'm still doing it, but it's now technically called the Manchester Open. So yeah, I might have to rename the series, but other than that, my plans and the way I'm approaching it haven't changed at all. So no longer doing national, but it is just going to be a really good and well-run regional that will have, in all honesty, like people from all over the country and anywhere. Like, it's not just going to be one region of people doing it, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm still treating it as if it was a national. It just means that I won't be able to move up in the rankings, and I wasn't going to go for any individual lift records or total records anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, that's the main update. So it is currently actually Saturday now, as I said at the start of the video. I am now on my way to my parents to do my Saturday SBD. It is week 3 of the block, so it is pretty heavy today, and however today moves will dictate what I load for next week, obviously to an extent. But I'm normally so on top of my variables that I literally leave no stone unturned, so I'm always absolutely fine and I know what to expect with my sessions. However, so yesterday, Friday, and today, Saturday, I've been in London, and it has been scorching hot, and I genuinely thought I was getting sunstroke earlier today, and I've been walking around on my feet constantly for the last 2 days. Had a really lovely time, but obviously my diet and stuff hasn't been great. Mostly just eating food from like the Camden market, so I haven't been able to track anything. Essentially, I am very exhausted. So I obviously been walking all day today, and then I had to drive 2.5 hours home. Now I'm about to drive half an hour to my parents. There's been a lot of walking around, but also a lot of sitting down for long periods of time. So we'll just sort of see how it goes. I'm still going to go in with a positive mindset. I've been making sure to I haven't been drinking water today. I've been drinking anything with electrolytes in. I've been drinking a lot of Lucozade Sports and stuff like that. I've just had some salty carbs, and I've got a couple of square bars in my bag as well for when I get to my parents, just to kind of control as much as I possibly can going into this session. So I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm going to hope it feels fine, and I'm going to go in with a positive attitude. But I do think for me, I'm such a stickler for sticking to what I can control, so that I know the outcome is going to be good. That for me, whenever I have days where I'm not 100% on it, I do kind of worry a little bit, but it'll be fine. I'm going to just go in, enjoy the session. It's still really, really warm, so that's not going to be overly fun, but it's fine. So yeah, let's go see how my Saturday SBD goes.
Only if you say so. Only if you say so.
Okay, so Saturday's SBD day. As I mentioned in the clip beforehand, I was exhausted going in. I had essentially spent 2 days dehydrated, constantly on my feet, out in the sun, and eating kind of whatever I could get my hands on, and not the best food. So I didn't expect a lot from this session. But what I made sure to do was treat my pre-workout meal as if I was doing a recomp. Like I said, I'd done a workout on a comp day. I essentially nourished myself as if that was the case, because I was pretty dehydrated and I needed that extra boost, and I've been sweating out a lot and stuff while I was in the sun, so I needed those electrolytes as well. So it definitely had a payoff. The only thing I found quite difficult was trainings when I was bloated, but everything moved fine, right? So considering how exhausted I felt, how many steps I'd been doing, and the fact that my legs felt quite stiff and just uncomfortable, I was expecting knee issues. But my 140 last warm-up on squats moved like a breeze. My top triple at 155, you'll see here, might look pretty slow to a normal person, but if I compare that to my 155 triple from last block, then this is so much quicker, and I definitely have room to increase that number next week for week 4 of the block. And the main win of this session was that there was actually no knee pain whatsoever. So I'm really happy with that. Overall, I think squats move really well. I've said this for the last few videos. My back offs, my 3x7, the weight is super, super light still. I'm just using these as an opportunity to essentially keep some volume in, let my knee get healthier, and just really focus on drilling in that pressure over midfoot for every single rep, and keeping that bar still on my back, which I definitely felt like I was doing well at. So squats couldn't have really gone any better considering the circumstances. I'm really, really happy with them. I've definitely got room to increase my top triple next week to 160, possibly 162.5. I'm just going to see how I feel, but I'll obviously go into next week's session a lot better prepared, better nourished, more rested, so that should hopefully have a payoff. Then going on to bench, I had a top single. The last one at 100 moved really well. Everything felt a bit stiff and my body just didn't feel fresh at all. So things didn't feel as good as they could have, but they still moved pretty well. I went up to 110. I took that 10 kilo jump for my top single, and you'll see here, I did have a bit of a pause and it pressed pretty well. It was a little bit slow, but it is 110. Like, it's 5 kilos above my comp max. It's not going to move quickly. I was also really mad at myself when I stood up from the top single, thinking that I'd just done a really bad touch and go rep. And then I watched it back and there was a little bit of a pause. So I am happy with that. Then went on to back offs. I kept the weight the same as last week's 4x4, which was 100 kilos, because last week it didn't move fantastically and I wanted to just clean that up. And I definitely did. I've noticed as well, so in this session, things just didn't click very well. Things didn't feel fantastic, but I needed that because it reassured me that I have the strength, if needed, to muscle up the weight on bench. So I still managed to pause my reps and everything moved pretty well. And just looking at it from the side view, things all looked absolutely fine. But I know in the moment, I felt like I was just kind of muscling up the weight. And so to know that I can do that makes me kind of feel reassured that come comp day, if I have to treat it like that, then I can. So really happy with my back off 4x4. And then Larson, same as always, 7s, 82.5, moved absolutely fine. Nothing really to say on that. Then I just put this clip of Maya in there. She kept coming to check on me every like 15, 20 minutes. I was home by myself that night and she was obviously then getting a bit bored. So she just kept coming over to the gym and just checking on me, and we'd have like a little play for a few minutes. So yeah, that was really nice. And then I took a little bit of a break before I started deadlift because I was so tired. Like loading the bar felt like the hardest part of the session. I had to get myself kind of hyped up to do 145 as my last warm up. So that can kind of show I'm not a hyped lifter. And then I ended up having to use ammonia for my top triple because I was so tired and I just did not know how I was going to do this. But you'll see, it still moved pretty well. It was a little bit slow, but week 3 isn't supposed to be fast. Like it's supposed to be pretty heavy. It's supposed to be getting difficult. So I'm really happy with how things moved considering. You'll see after this top triple, I did my back off 5s at 145, which I think might be a volume PB. I'm not really sure, but they moved fine. Again, it was just that mental barrier of pushing through the exhaustion, pushing through the tiredness. Like I didn't finish training, I think, until nearly 11 at night, and I'm someone that likes to be in bed way before then. So it was just a session where I had to focus on just getting it done, and I did. And I was just kind to myself. In between each lift, I gave myself 5-10 minutes to just kind of chill out and relax before going into the next lift, and it definitely paid off. Okay, so excuse the flash. It is just gone 11 o'clock. I'm finally leaving my parents' house. That was probably the most mentally challenging session I've possibly ever had. Like, I'm so exhausted. Like, genuinely, I think I wouldn't be surprised if I had some kind of sunstroke. Like, I'm so tired. I've had a headache all afternoon. Like, my headache did go away roughly when I got home, so just before I headed here. But I am definitely going to sleep well tonight. But everything moved so well. Like, it moved as well as I expected it to when I was I had everything under control. So the fact that things moved that well and my diet's not been good, when I'm exhausted, like when I've been out in the sun all day, when I've done however many steps I've been doing, like it's very promising, ready for next week. So I'm really happy. I'm going to make sure this week everything is perfect to a T. I'm going to keep my steps fairly high because my squat definitely feels good when I have been more active. But I'm not going to keep them as high as they have been because my feet and legs are aching. So really happy. I just wanted to pop in and say that. I'm now going to head home, get some sleep, and I've got my accessory session in the morning. I'm not going to film that though because I'm going by myself. So I'm going to do my accessories in the morning, and I'm just going to come probably back to my parents' house and just chill out for the day in the sun. So probably going to wrap up the video here. I hope you have enjoyed it. I'll be back next week for more, and I will probably actually talk about my diet in next week's video as well. So if you have liked it, please like the video, subscribe, all of that. And I'll see you next week.
If you say, only if you say so. Only if you say so. Yeah. Only if you say